Snow White finally released in theaters, featuring nightmare-inducing CGI and instantly forgettable songs. It's apparently gonna lose Disney over $100 million at the box office. With its abysmal 1.5 out of 10 rating on IMDb, it's now less liked than the Human Centipede that got a 4.4. And obviously it's apples and oranges, but it doesn't take away from the fact that Disney's new Snow White is objectively horrible, as casting Rachel Zegler as Snow White was a decision that immediately put off over half its potential audience, where some reviews were just memes rooting for the apple, but also explaining how boring it was for kids, how miscast Rachel was, lacking the warmth of a Disney princess, with the only positive review I saw talking about how the movie is a perfect place for privacy and a nap. Now, it would be one thing if the masses just review bombed the movie, and it actually had redeeming qualities despite the trolls online, but even left-wing outlets called the movie toe-curlingly terrible, the most controversial Disney adult nightmare ever, and good enough for television. Now, I'm not gonna deep dive into why the movie was technically horrible when the critical drinker already did it 10 times better than I ever could, but the main reasoning I think this movie was doomed at inception is Disney's lack of universally likable movie stars, as Rachel Zegler is phenomenally talented. But to the people that aren't already bought onto her stardom is off-putting.
That despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
I'm a narcissist.
Was gifted very good cheekbones from God, which is something I thank him for constantly.
But I think the real issue happened over a year ago when we covered this initially, where she went from criticizing the source material.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird.
But after backlash, suddenly switched up to love it.
The cartoon's so beloved. It's like a monumental moment in film history. All of these amazing things that happened for that film are the reason that you and I really get to sit here today, because it made Disney what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But what we missed in the interview was this response.
Because it's hard being women under the spotlight. People are so critical and just say anything that they would never say to your face.
No.
So yeah, how has that been for you, being able to navigate it?
Just as you said, it's like choosing to be present and know that they are probably just having a really hard day.
Yes.
And I am putting out a movie.
Amen. That's right.
Now, I can personally understand not listening to anonymous accounts online trying to tear you down, but it doesn't necessarily make you likable or charismatic to remind your audience that you don't need to listen to their opinions because you're in the movies, which makes you so much more superior to them, as at some level you might be right, but you won't be liked. This same situation happened over a decade ago with LeBron James.
Because at the end of the day, all the people that was rooting on me to fail, at the end of the day, they got to wake up tomorrow and have the same life that they had before they woke up today. They got the same personal problems that they had today. And I'm going to continue to live the way I want to live and continue to do the things that I want to do with me and my family and be happy with that. So,
where fans en masse saw it as, at least when I wake up, I'm still LeBron James and not any of you losers. Social media brought in this new generation of low self-esteem stars. Whether they're in the NBA or Disney movies, they have this sort of adversarial fandom. You either like me or you're the enemy. They treat viewers like I treat stray cats I see in the street. I'll try to convince them to come over and be my friend, but if they pompously walk away ignoring me, then I'll switch to whatever. I don't even want to pet you anyways, you probably have fleas. The problem being, Rachel Zegler isn't the only Disney star to see detractor fans like this, as John Boyega from the Star Wars films recently went off on Star Wars fans.
Star Wars always had the vibe of being in the most whitest elite space. Like, this franchise is so white that it's like a black person existing in that was something. And some Star Wars fans tried to say, well, we had Lando Calrissian and had Samuel L. Jackson. It's like telling me how many cookie chips are on the cookie dough. I'm like, bro, they just scattered that in there, bro. But once we touch their heroes, once we lead, once we trailblaze, it's like, oh my God, it's just a bit too much.
It's that common theme of Disney hiring actors that absolutely hate the franchise's existing fan base. I said it in the last video how this is the equivalent of getting a lead singer on a Christian rock band that doesn't like the Bible, then being upset when the fan base turns on the band, because Boyega going off on Star Wars fans over the lack of black representation is nonsense. He's complaining about being the only black guy, but 1/4 of the new main characters. Just makes me think he'd only be happy if he was personally represented in the entire cast, which would have some pretty bizarre implications for the storyline, but more importantly, these movie franchises should focus on creating a fun experience, not coddling the fragile emotions of rich movie stars. Because let's be clear, he's not mad at Star Wars fans, he's mad at China for forcing them to diminish his role, where many of us thought he'd either be the protagonist or the protagonist's love interest, but was relegated to this nonsense that just seemed like tedious side quests. And that was the same complaint about everybody's roles in those movies. Rey, Luke Skywalker, and even the droids were almost a chore to listen to between the space battles and lightsaber duels, but only one of those movie stars took to an interview to blame racist Star Wars fans. And until Disney discovers this is why their movies are failing, they're doomed to lose billions more at the box office. As Rachel Zegler has always had something to say, either about women being torn down, or how Trump supporters should never know peace, or how she's sorry she just got emotional. Meanwhile, successful movie stars seem to only be seen talking about making movies.
I'm very grateful to be here and to be part of this whole time period. Had we not had the community here to say we will support you in making what we wanted to do. I was always curious, like, what's that person like? You know, I want to sit down and talk to them. I want to live in their world. Constantly pushing myself. That's why I wasn't going to just make this movie. It was 36 years. How many places I went, how lucky I am. And people asking for this. I did not want to disappoint anyone.
Now, does Tom Cruise have parts of his personal life that can turn away potential audiences? Probably more than most leading men. But the idea that he doesn't use it to shame potential audiences is the key difference. Tom Cruise may very well vote Democrat every single election cycle, but I wouldn't really care, as he doesn't try to shame me for not having his same values. He doesn't go out attacking people for not liking Mission Impossible, and they don't shoehorn in liberal or conservative values into their movies. And that's why in an era of box office flops, films like Top Gun Maverick and John Wick 4 can still make millions. As with Tom Cruise or Keanu Reeves, I'd probably go see any of their new movies in theater. As one, they're just good mindless entertainment while I devour a family size of popcorn and nachos. But also, I know when I trash The Matrix 4 for being a terrible film, Keanu's never gonna boot up his selfie camera for social media to call me a racist, saying, well, at least when I wake up, I'm still a millionaire movie star and not some weird sounding Asian dude with an overbite. Because that's just mean. And now I'm self-conscious over a comment a fictitious Keanu Reeves made about my teeth. So stop trying to rewind this video. Just, if you appreciate my concise, light-order commentary on the tragic status that is today's reality, hopefully I've earned your subscription, then go check out the video on how these unhinged Tesla protesters are finally finding out.